We're back here on Jones and Company, and today on our program we are speaking with Cuban Dr. Osvaldo Hector of the Cuban Medical Services Agency and Leslie Simone Gibson. We were talking about mortality or success rates, and I believe that you want to speak about the mortality rate in Cuba, given the number of international persons that you have coming to Cuba.
No, talking about the rates, I mean, the Cuban rates in that matters, believe me, you can beat that, you know. Cuban rates for infant mortality is lower than the United States, or lower than...
Is it really?
Yeah, for sure, and not now. It's been like this for the last 20 years. So this is something that you cannot get without a complete functional health system.
Yeah, but infant mortality rate in Cuba must have to do with a number of things, including diet and all the rest of it, among the Cuban people. But we're talking about mortality rate of people who travel to Cuba for medical services.
Yeah, but you remember that these people that are going to Cuba for medical reasons are receiving medical care based on the medical system that we already have in Cuba. So we are getting profit of something that has been built for more than 50 years. So patients going to Cuba will receive a kind of medical care that is supported by this medical system. Rates are quite similar for foreign visitors than the Cuban patients. So I mean, Bahamians dying in Cuba because of medical reasons they came to Cuba to be operated. Right now it's zero. Just one patient died in 2007 because of a heart attack, which is not supposed to have because it's not one of the conditions that...
What are you suggesting, that Bahamians go to Cuba for medical services and they don't die in Cuba? Is that what you say?
Yes, what I say. And this is not, magic or something.
They die when they come back?
No, not at all. Okay, you will die eventually, but right. I don't think. But this is not because of the surgery or because of the treatment you'll get there. So you went to Cuba, you received the medical treatment, you are fine, and you return back to continue with your life. So no one dies because of the treatment you had over there. So this is something that you have to take into consideration, because sometimes people say, oh my God, I'm going to a foreign country to receive a medical treatment. Is there any chance that I could die because of that treatment? So we are going with a cancer, which is a very hard situation, or with diabetic food, which it means we have a metabolism problem which is huge, and you return back with your condition stabilized and better, and even cure in that case of the food. So this is statistic. We're talking about figures.
Is it true that most Bahamians go to Cuba for cancer?
Well, for cancer,
more than anything else?
No, I can't say that. Bahamians are coming to Cuba for different reasons. As far as I know, cancer is among the 5-6 first reasons. They are going for dental care, orthopedics, even cosmetic surgery.
Dental care as well?
Yeah, dental care. And cancer is among the 5-6 first reasons they are going to Cuba. Remember, you have to go to another place when you don't have the solution in your own country, or when you get it is better or cheaper, or both of them. So these are the reasons. Obviously, you don't go to Cuba, but you have a flu or something like this.
Bahamians are going to Cuba for many reasons, but the primary reasons that Bahamians are going to Cuba, as well as almost every other country in the world, is because right now Cuba is the #1 for doctors. The World Health Organization has rated Cuba as the #1 for doctors and their medical care. So this is why Bahamians are going to Cuba. Cuba has a 4.2% infant mortality rate, which is the lowest in the Western Hemisphere. Also, Cuba has the highest, people live the longest in Cuba out of every other country in the Western.
Life expectancy is higher in Cuba than...
Exactly. Now, like Dr. Osvaldo said, you really can't compare, we can't compare Cuba to the U.S. because they're two completely different political systems. Having lived in the U.S. for almost all my life, I am a Bahamian, but I lived in the U.S. for about 26 years, and I've been a salesperson in the U.S. for major clinical cosmetic companies. I know that most of the profits for U.S. companies go towards advertising. So sometimes a drug that has a brand name is the same thing as a drug that does not have a brand name, but the difference in price is because the brand name drug has to pay for advertising, which is very, very expensive. Cuba's drugs and vaccines are among the best in the world. Like Dr. Osvaldo said, Cuba has the only cure for diabetic foot in the world, which the U.S. is using. The U.S. is getting these drugs from Cuba. This drug, Heberprop, it's for diabetic foot, the only cure in the world for diabetic foot ulcer, was presented in Washington, D.C. last year, 2014, at the Pan American Conference, and also at the most influential diabetic association conference. I cannot remember the name of the conference right now, I apologize, but in Los Angeles. So in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., this drug was presented in the last year, 2014.
Tell me about, there must be some challenges with the language in terms of
all of the doctors.
The Bahamians having, who do not understand Spanish.
The doctors.
The language barrier there.
There's a challenge, but we can succeed because, as she is trying to say, most of the doctors, they speak enough English to make it easier. And nurses too, and some places, I mean, in clinics that they need it because they have a lot of patients, they have even translators that can help patients at the very beginning when they are not still in contact and not yet in contact with the doctors. I mean, the first steps the filling the papers and stuff, they can help patients with that. And even when you return back to the Bahamas, you will get a resume that could be written in English, and you can get also, the x-rays or CD or whatever, all the images back to continue with your doctor, because it's the idea. You will receive some treatment in Cuba, but you're not going to leave you on your own. So we can give you all the details to continue with your treatment or your follow-up with your own doctor, because I think it is necessary for you as a person, as a patient, to be follow-up. If you want to return to Cuba, we are welcome. But anyway, this is the idea. So this is why I provide the reports in English.
How many hospitals do you represent?
Well, we have more than 20 hospitals or clinics, depending on the condition, because we have general hospitals where they have surgery, orthopedics, and whatever, and they have some specialized clinics for eye surgery, for neurological restoration and rehabilitation, other for dermatology. Well, depending on the condition, we have some specialized clinics or general clinics.
This is why it's very important to go through an agency such as Baja Health and Beauty if you're going to Cuba for medical care, so that you can avoid any complication or problem, so that you can go to a state-of-the-art hospital in Cuba, you can see the world's best specialists, and also all of the medical staff that you will be dealing with speak English.
Okay. And Baja Health and Beauty is at Sandy Port, right?
Yes, but it's appointment only, so it's not accessible to the public.
Okay.
You're going to have to contact us by email or telephone number. The telephone number is 242.
Oh, listen to this ad now. Go ahead.
376-4068, and the email is info@bajahealthandbeauty.com.
That's $500. Thank you so very much for being here today, Leslie. Thank you so very much, Dr. Osvaldo. Thank you for watching. We have another segment of our program coming up. We take this break. We'll come right back.